When you're looking for a hydration product, what are the things that you're looking for?
If I'm ever looking for a hydration product, the number one thing I'm looking for is that it tastes good. Like, water has no taste at all. Water's what, like, nature turns to rehydrate, and that's a little bit boring. And then you come down, are you gonna go with sugar? Are you gonna go with sugar-free? And all of this is just conversations point. Does this taste better than the other product? That's it. Jocko Hydrate is delicious. It's got electrolytes. That's between you guys. I don't know what electrolyte is. Frankly, I don't even need one. You could give me more electrolytes than the opponent, I'll beat the opponent. You could give me less than the opponent, I'll still beat the opponent. I can't even spell electrolyte. This has them, whatever that is. And it tastes good, which is really what matters. It turns out Belal Muhammad's the greatest fighter in the world. Who would have seen that coming? Did you guys know? Did you know? Tell the truth. Now, I've been real candid with you guys that when I saw them fight the first time, it looked as though Leon was finding out what he needs to do to beat Belal Muhammad. That's what it looked like. Now, the other side of that coin is that Belal Muhammad was also figuring out what it is he needed to do to have his own success. And you guys, I mean, this thing ended up going off. It ended up going off at bell time at 2-1. And now my own partners over at DraftKings, this was 2-1 for Leon, but it was never there until today. The money came in today. This thing was damn near a pick'em. I spoke to you earlier, it was a plus 180 to a minus 155. I mean, that's a pick'em. That's straight up. And straight up in a rematch where there was one completed round and all three judges had the same guy, but you guys knew something, didn't you? And Belal Muhammad, for me to pay him enough compliments, guys, this is one of the great victories in the history of our sport. Yeah, that's a literal statement. Kamaru Usman is the first athlete who you could ever make the claim is the GOAT of the division in front of George St. Pierre and not be laughed at. You're not going to win that argument. But you could make the argument without losing credibility and looking foolish. Kamaru Usman lost to Leon. Twice. Now, Kamaru's time came and went. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I'm not sure Kamaru Usman could be world champion right now. I'm not sure how that match goes. Kamaru gets a hold of Belal. But I do know after Kamaru lost twice on a bad day and up a weight class, he went toe-to-toe with Chimaev. So there's no Kamaru's best days are behind us. He lost to Leon. He lost twice. That's just what happened. Kamaru won't tell the story any different. It's just what happened. But now you understand how good Leon is, right? Like you have to give Usman his flowers. I learned that expression somewhere. Give them their, and now it's stuck in my head. I'm going to try to lose that. Cormier is always calling a fight bananas, and now I haven't used that yet, but I will. Like I get impressionable, so it's okay. So give him his flowers. But it is important that we tell the story accurately. Like there is no part of Leon fighting where you go, Leon had a bad fight, and I heard somebody say that. I don't agree. I don't even know that Leon lost the fight. I mean, he ran out of time. That's an expression, and that's an expression reserved for losers. I get that. But I don't know that I felt that Leon lost that fight. I felt like he ran out of time. I mean, these fights are ultimately about a fight to the end. At some point, we have to put some restraints on it so that we can call it a sport. At some point, we got to call this thing a day. But Leon was the one coming on. Leon's the one that won the last round. Leon's the one that had the big split. I mean, not for nothing, Leon fought really, really well, and he lost to Belal. Now, for this to be one of the great victories, which it wasn't the takedowns of Belal. It wasn't that Canelo-style boxing of Belal. It was getting the fight in the first damn place. That's what was so amazing about this. Everything was done to Belal to make him lose. To make him lose his footing. To make him lose his ranking. To make him lose his place. Everything was. There's even a rumor that's accurate. I'll call it a report, not a rumor. That they were going to do Leon versus Islam Makhachev. That fight was offered. That's true. So when I talk about everything was done to avoid this opportunity for Belal, he got through it. And you know what that's like? Now, there's 756 athletes under contract with the Ultimate Fighting Championship right now. 7 of them are champion. Everybody else is getting told no to the opportunity they want, which is to fight for the belt. Like, this isn't something new. Everybody is getting something put in their way. Leon had a harder path to the championship than Muhammad did. But there's not 5 other guys you could name in 30 years in this business, 31 years of this sport, that have had a harder path and had more bumps put in the road. Do you think Sean Brady, who was completely undefeated, okay? Here, let me give you an example. Let me speed this story up for anybody that's new. Belal Muhammad fights Leon Edwards in a main event. Leon Edwards goes on to headline pay-per-views and win a world championship. Okay? Belal Muhammad goes on, without any losses, to be an undercard in a foreign continent against an undefeated younger fighter. Okay? Have I proven my point? That's what Sean Brady was. Can I leave it at that and have proved my point? I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I can. And there was podcasts. There was media. There was begging. There was flights. There was hotel. There was sacrifice. There was a changing of camp. There was listening to ideas. There was everything that needed to be done. And Belal did it all. And a lot of it he did on his own. Henry Cejudo, you guys ever hear that true story of how he came up? He had to do a lot of it on his own. I'd love to tell you guys about Colby Covington, because a lot of that media that you saw that you appreciated, he had to do on his own. Kevin Lee booked his own media tour one time, and it worked. And he got big names to bring him in and give him an opportunity. He found himself in a world title fight. And there was such a message here, and Belal had to go into business for himself. He had to go into the Belal business. But he had to go into business for himself. And great job, right? That's fair play. You go out and do it like that, it doesn't matter what we think. Call a guy overrated, call a guy boring. I don't subscribe to either of those, but I'm sharing with you, right? Nothing new. 756 guys under contract. 7 of them got championships. Everybody else goes into that category to some degree. But he found a way. He found a way, and the deck once again was stacked against him, where he had to go into a guy's hometown. And a crowd that was booing him, and an energy that was against him, and he found a way to win. Now, that chamber only has so many you can fire. And when you got to come up that way, there will be nothing as hard as what Belal just did. His hardest work is in the rear view. His hardest work was not beating Leon, believe it or not. His hardest work was getting in the ring with Leon while Leon had the world title. So he will never have anything that's hard again. Whatever Belal does next, it'll be here. But that can do something to a guy. Some guys are hungry and they're scary and they're dangerous. And some guys get on top and it just changes. And it's not a matter of Belal can watch this video and go, well, I'm the second kind of guy. He doesn't know. He doesn't know any more than you or I know. We just know there's 2 kinds of guys. Now it's a matter of finding out which one you are. Interesting spot, but a real heartfelt. I mean, I must tell you, on a human level, that was an outstanding job. And what is next for Belal? Like that is what matters. I know that you'll look at Rachmanov. He's got a beautiful record. He's got a big O. Right? I know that you'll look at Ian Gary. Beautiful record. I don't believe he and Belal had any kind of back and forth, but they can change that real fast. Beautiful record. He's got an O. But neither of them is the guy for this fight right now. Now, that doesn't mean they can't get it. Kamaru Usman or Colby Covington. Now, we're going back to guys who have already had that shot, and there is something to be said for parity. And the future of the division doesn't appear to be anybody that I've just named. It appears to be the younger guys and the undefeated and the guys with the O. I get that. But as hard as it was for Belal to get this opportunity, I'm going to use that same example. And I think that there's one that they will each need to do. You can even put them on the same card. Like, I'm just trying to kind of think of the UFC and matchmaking history. And it is hard to imagine they're going to go to yesterday in the form of Kamaru, Usman, and Colby, who've already been there. It is kind of hard to imagine. However, those would be great fights, for one. And for two, I think when you understand that Rakhmonov got to have one more, Ian Gary's got to have one more and maybe two. And when you start to look at that, all of a sudden, I think it starts to make a lot more sense to you. And Colby Covington has a skill and an ability to get things going, unlike anybody else. And Kamaru Usman can't be forgotten. And I'm throwing those names at you guys to get you going. I want to get you going in the comment section. I'm not making a prediction. I'm throwing names at you. But before you say Rakhmonov should be next or Ian Gary should be next and they're undefeated, I hear you, but you don't mean that. And you don't think either one of them is ready to headline a pay-per-view opposite Belal Muhammad. No, you don't. You don't think either one of them is ready to sit down at a press conference opposite Belal and entice and entertain a crowd. So it's food for thought. It's an incredible night for Muhammad. I'd love to hear what you think. Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington. Who do you want to stand across from the new champ?